Sports Final with Bob Lobel.
Welcome back to Sports Final. As you may or may not be aware, one of the hot topics this week in talk radio and on the internet deals with a recent issue of Out magazine, a most highly subscribed to gay publication. In his May letter to the readers, publisher Brendan Lemon begins by saying he's been having an affair with a pro baseball player from a Major League East Coast franchise. He goes on to say that this player is not the team's biggest star, but still a very recognizable media figure. While Lemon is openly gay, his friend is still, he says, in the closet. He goes on to say, quote, at some level, I'm writing about this relationship because I want the ball player to come out and make my life easier, end quote. But when he was on WEEI's Big Show earlier this week, he made it clear he understands why his friend has not come out.
I think it has to do with fear, which is the reason that I think most people, whether they're famous or not famous, don't come out. He's afraid of the repercussions in terms of his life. And he's also afraid because he's somebody who plays before many thousands of people, almost every day for 6 months at a time, that, there could be one of those people in the stands who'd be crazy enough to take a pop at him. I don't think it's somebody in the clubhouse who's going to be physically threatening him. In fact, I think a lot of that in the clubhouse would be dealt with in a humorous, very jovial way because, as I say, this is somebody who's a winner, who contributes a lot to his team, and that's what his teammates look to him for. It's the exposure to the stands that is more the risk here.
Lemon also wrote in the magazine, quote, whatever the potential fallout for an athlete, as for everyone else, it is less psychically risky to come out, not merely to stop the lying, but to lessen the internal stress, the kind my ball player deals with every day. All right, the man who advises me on all matters gay, Japanese literature, and faith and morals, WBZ Radio's David Brednoy. David, welcome to the show.
Bob, thank you. It's a thrill to be back. They are grooming me to replace you. I hope you know this. This is a trial balloon. Speaking of which, that letter is probably a trial balloon. Probably Brendan Lemon and his friends said, let's put this out there and see what happens, see what the speculation is like, see if people can deal with this intelligently on the sports programs, which often have a conglomerate IQ of approximately a rutabaga, but nonetheless find out whether sports fans can handle the matter. I mean, I don't think, unless he's a real jerk, that he would have done this and said to his friend, oh, by the way, 2 days from now, it's already in print, but guess what? You're going to see when you open your copy of Out coming out of a brown paper bag. I hope at least that he cohered with his friend before doing it.
Well, what about the speculation issue?
Well, I actually know who the player is.
Really?
Are you willing to have it tonight here on Channel 4?
They're from your lips.
All right, just between us guys?
Yeah.
John Rocker. Now, the reason I say this is probably undoubtedly not, but, occasionally, rarely, but occasionally, people fight whatever their inside is by being the anti.
Oh, you've been watching American Beauty too much.
No. It's like the Jewish guy who was working for the Ku Klux Klan and so on. I mean, these things happen once in a while. Once in a while, it's a delusion that anybody who's anti-gay is secretly gay. It's a delusion, but it could be. So we don't know. It may be the biggest joker on the team. It may be the guy who makes the most anti-gay jokes for all we know, or maybe not. Somebody's very quiet. But when Brendan Lemon says the psychic pain is worse than coming out, for some, yes, and for some others. I mean, some people handle the closet very, very well, and others, for them, the coming out would be extraordinarily difficult. They have parents who couldn't handle it. They may have an uncle who's a bishop. I mean, you never know about these things, and so
the real questions come from outside the clubhouse, perhaps in management of Major League Baseball, the team management, which seems to be much less accepting of anything outside the norm, and certainly the fans.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing in other fields. Agents say that the hardest thing for them to do with actors and actresses is to keep down stories that they might be gay. And yet you wonder about the fans. In other words, what has it hurt people in watching someone like Lily Tomlin as an example, or rumors about other people come out? I mean, fans don't care that much to movies, but you said something about movies or television. People watch them really with their friends or alone. My guess is this. Let's say somebody's come out, John Smith of XYZ team. He comes out, the management brings everybody together and says, look, guys, just as what Branch Rickey had to go through years ago with Jackie Robinson, we're going to stay together on this one. We're all going to join on this one. I don't want to hear anything from you. And we're going to play the Spartacus game. We're going to go out in the first first day and we're going to say, I'm gay, I'm gay, I'm gay, and they'll all laugh about it. I bet the fans would be able to handle it if they all said, look, we're all together, he's a good player, he's our guy, and that's all there is to it. And if you make mock of him, you're making mock of all of us. The jerks will be jerks, but I think a lot of people will put up with it. Maybe I'm being optimistic about it because in my own experience, I've found that a lot of people can handle a lot more than you might have imagined. And yet, maybe, I mean, you know the sports audience better than I, even though I am the sports Brazilla and, you know, deeply embedded in the culture. But do you think really that the, let's say the Red Sox fan, let's say it's a Red Sox, we don't have to mention a name, but we know who it is, and he comes out, will they just fall apart in Fenway Park before the Fenway Park falls apart, you know, and crashes? Will they scream, go away, go back to where you came from, bad guy, and use the F word and the whole thing? Would that happen? What do you think, Bob?
I'm glad you've asked me all these questions. Unfortunately, I don't have time to answer them.
We don't have all the segments? We don't have all the segments?
We don't have all the segments, but...
You know what happens? You invite a talk host on to be your guest.
Another issue for another day.
Fine. Delighted to do it.
I think everyone has to answer that question.
Right.
I'm not the one to answer it.
And you, when John Rocker finally announces, you heard it here.
I did hear it here first.
Right.
We all heard it here. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more sports final and some reaction right after this. Guests appearing on Sports Final receive a gift certificate from Eastern Clothing of Watertown. A good selection of extra-long suits is hard to find. Eastern Clothing offers the best selection of extra-long suits for the tall man for fashion or business. So, if you're tall and need to look good, visit Eastern Clothing of Watertown. Hi, David Brudnoy was just on. We'll get our reaction. We have our contest winner, and I'll tell you that in just a second. But with Bob Ryan and Steve Burton here, your reaction to being out at home.
The scenarios that David Brudnoy presented for the hypothetical outing of a player, the public outing and team presentation of a player are reasonable and I think theoretically could work. But let's go back to the simple premise that in the 4 major pro team sports in this country, there has never been an active player identified as being gay. It is still the ultimate taboo. It's still the ultimate breakthrough that is necessary, and we really and truly do not know how Vox Populi or how management or how anybody else is going to react. It's got to happen. I think it's going to happen reasonably soon. Does that mean next week, next month, next year? I don't know. But certainly, I bet we're within a year of it. I think this may be the cause right here.
That leaves you 10 seconds.
I will say this irony, the irony, Brudnoy mentioned John Rocker, who and when this guy does come out, he will undergo criticism like John Rocker in other towns.
Well, look, it'll be just,
fans will
does the town make a difference?
Fans will hammer this guy.
Being gay on a sports team in Boston would be different than being gay on a sports team in New York. Would the town make a difference?
No, East Coast Carter, very similar. No, it'd be different. The question is Kansas City or Milwaukee as opposed to East Coast Carter or California. All right, that's your difference.
We got to go. We'll be right back with the answer and the winner to our contest tonight. And stay with us because it may be you. All right, here we go. The winners, we had some, here are the guesses. Meet the new owners of the Boston Red Sox, Three Stooges and Alice Cook, Alice in Blunderland. But no, we had a lot of correct answers. And the correct answer to the little contest, Bob and Carol, Ted and Alice. And that's the correct answer. And we had a number of correct answers, but the winner was Pat Patterson of Taunton, because Pat was the first. I don't know if Pat is a male or female, but Pat is the first. Doesn't matter.
I know what Pat,
but Pat, you won yourself a nice jacket from Custom Crafted, which is WBZ 4 Sports.
Very nice.
Hope you wear it proudly. Thank you very much for being with us. Have a good night, everybody, and thanks for playing.